Good evening and welcome back to CNN Money Switzerland. I'm Ana Maria Montero with your headlines tonight, Thursday, July the 2nd. We start tonight with Swiss drug maker Novartis, which has agreed to pay $729 million to settle charges in the US, accusing it of paying kickbacks to doctors who prescribed its drugs. The cases date back to 2013, when US authorities joined a case filed 2 years earlier, accusing Novartis of using its speaker program to bribe doctors into prescribing several of its drugs. Novartis has accepted responsibility for many of the allegations and agreed to change how it markets its drugs by moving away from its traditional speakers program model. A week since Switzerland's coronavirus tracing app officially launched to the public, the number of applications actively being used as of yesterday stood at 970,000, up by nearly 42,000 on the previous day, according to the latest figures from the Federal Office of Public Health. The app alerts people when they have come into close contact with someone who has tested positive for COVID-19 and comes as the number of cases in Switzerland increased by 116 in the last 24 hours, down slightly from the previous day, but still up nearly 500 over the last 7 days. The US unemployment rate fell 11.1% as the economy added a record 4.8 million jobs in June, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported on Thursday. The data was far better than economists predicted, with the unemployment rate falling more than expected. It was the second consecutive month of growth after more than 20 million jobs were wiped out in April during the coronavirus lockdown. The reopening of the economy is easing the burden on America's stressed labor market, but a full job market recovery is still far from certain. 21 Shares, the Swiss-based crypto product provider, formerly known as Amun, today listed a security on the German stock exchange that tracks the value of Bitcoin. Tanya Koenig spoke to CEO Hani Rashwan, and let's take a listen.
I'm now joined by Hani Rashwan, CEO of 21 Shares, and 21 Shares is the largest issuer of crypto exchange traded products in the world and based in Zug. Hi, Hani.
Hi, how are you, Tanya? Thank you for having me.
Good, how are you?
Doing very well.
So through you, one can invest in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, on the Swiss stock exchange. But as of today, you're listing your Bitcoin ETP at the Deutsche Börse, or the German stock exchange. So why Germany if you're already so active in Switzerland?
So we've been in Germany for a while already on Stuttgart, but Deutsche Börse will be the first regulated stock exchange. Deutsche Börse is a massive stock exchange, and we increasingly want to have additional investors from additional geographies be able to invest in the crypto asset class through us. We think of what we've done as the simplest way of investing in the best performing asset class of the last decade, using your existing bank or brokerage. So off of that, we have, as you've mentioned, a really expansive product suite available now in 4 currencies: euros, Swiss francs, dollars, and Great British pounds. And we'll keep on adding access to additional stock exchanges around the world to give investors the ability to invest in the products regardless of where they are, obviously all built out of our Swiss base here.
So you're growing in Europe. You're also approved, so you have the EU prospectus approval. What does it mean? Why is Europe so important to you?
Well, we're very bullish on crypto as an asset class overall. We think besides being the best performing asset class of the last decade, its access to very disruptive growth and exposure to this aggressive and disruptive growth is something that is especially important now. We live in Switzerland, we have to live with negative interest rates, but as the global pandemic of COVID-19 goes on, as central banks will print more money, this is becoming more and more of an incredibly valuable part of an investor's portfolio. Europe is important to us because overall, investors in Germany, investors in Italy, investors in France will be much more comfortable investing in their locally in their locally denominated currency through their local brokerages. And so we think of expanding and ultimately dual listing our Swiss-based products across Europe and the world in order to give investors increased access to these same underlying products.
So you're active in Germany now, or before already a bit, and in Switzerland. How does the crypto scene differ between the two countries or areas?
The crypto world is not monolithic, it's very diverse. And so what often happens is certain geographies will latch on to one feature over another. Some people are very interested in the blockchain and the applications that can be built on top of crypto. Some people are really interested in using Bitcoin as a global hedge. Some people are really interested in the growth opportunities that they see within crypto. And we have products for all kinds of different investors. If people are incredibly bearish on the crypto asset class overall, we as a company also have the world's only Bitcoin short. So people can also bet against Bitcoin if they wanted to. But overall, we see less of a geographic change. There's less of a Swiss opinion versus German opinion, and more nuance based on if we're speaking to a pension fund or a family office or a retail investor or a venture capital investor, et cetera, et cetera.
I was just about asking you why someone should buy, cryptocurrencies via your ETPs instead of just buying them outright.
So a lot of folks cannot invest in non-securities. We make it safe, and we take it entirely. We take the complications entirely out of your hands. So custody we take care of. Market making liquidity we take care of. It fits within the box of your financial assets. It sits alongside your equities and fixed income and other investments really nicely. It's the same question that's been asked quite a lot on the commodity side. So a lot of people invest in gold, a lot of people invest in silver, especially here in Switzerland. And sometimes for some people, it might make sense to hold physical bars of gold. But for many, many investors, gold ETFs and gold financial products are a much better way of getting access to these asset classes.
So do you see a growing demand from wealth management for your product, and why?
Absolutely. I think there is a perfect confluence now with what we're seeing on the pandemic, what that's doing to macroeconomic indicators, the search for growth that we have had problems with, the search for yields that pension funds and institutional investors have had for a while. And ultimately, this has been the best performing asset class of the last decade, and people are hungry to invest in innovation, especially if it drives growth. Sort of if you've missed out on the last bull market or the tech bull market or what went on in the 80s with hardware, then this is the next upcoming shift in technological change in both the tech world and the finance world. And this is a really, really easy and safe way of accessing it.
Nevertheless, many still say a Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. How do you counter that perception?
I'm a student of history, and so I'm comforted by the accounts of people in the 90s bashing technology and saying it will never be as important in the economy as obviously it is now. The same people bashed gold in the 70s and 80s. This is, by the numbers, the best performing asset class of the last decade. This is, by the numbers, used by millions of people all around the world. And the applications that are built on it, again, by the numbers, are increasing sometimes at an exponential scale with respect to the ecosystem and developers. So for every naysayer out there that could miss out on what is the next huge shift in finance and technology, there's also a lot of very intelligent early adopters, including very large institutions like Fidelity, some of the pension funds behind Harvard and Stanford investing in it early on, and certainly some of the Swiss banks that are very, very quietly and slowly moving into it as well. I think it's inevitable, and it will be very fun to come back here in a couple of years and read some of these accounts of the naysayers.
Nevertheless, coronavirus has also, hit the crypto valley in Switzerland. How do you think can it recover?
I think coronavirus has hit more than just crypto valley in Switzerland. The Swiss government has been, in my humble opinion, incredibly quick and intelligent in adapting to it, and in doing a number of provisions that have helped companies here, both startups and not, both in technology and not. We've been in a fortunate position in that we're still moving forward. We're still pushing products out. But overall, I think for the industry, we have to keep our head down, hope that the government remains supportive, and hope that the health workers and our scientists find a cure soon, so that hopefully we can get back to the world as we knew it a year ago.
And then, as we mentioned in the beginning, you're expanding in Europe. What about Switzerland? Are you planning any further expansions here?
We just launched 3 new products in Switzerland last week. So the GBP denominated products that are geared for the UK market are actually launched on 6. And I believe they started trading yesterday. They were announced last week. We are so incredibly happy to be in Switzerland. None of what we've built could have happened in any other country. We took a look at 27 different jurisdictions around the world before choosing Switzerland. This is, in my opinion, the best spot for crypto business today. And we intend to ultimately keep using Switzerland as a base from which to expand into Europe and then into North America, Asia, and the rest of the world.
Henny, thank you so much and good luck with all that.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me again.
The Montreux Jazz Festival was supposed to be welcoming thousands of fans tomorrow. Instead, the town will be unusually quiet, with local businesses also feeling the devastating economic impact. Greta Rufino finds out more about what we can expect from this alternative summer.
Usually in July, the town of Montreux would be packed with thousands of visitors coming to watch the world's second largest jazz festival. Walking down the street and visiting its terraces and theatres, you would hear the notes of Quincy Jones, Sting, and other major international artists. But the absence of music in the Swiss town is a reminder that this is no regular summer day.
I mean, it's very sad. It's the first time in 54 years that the festival has been cancelled, as many events around the planet. For us, of course, this beautiful hall will be empty during this summer, and that's very sad for us and for all the fans. We have a social responsibility here in Montreux. We have an economic responsibility. We generate 60 million of direct revenue in the city of Montreux, 60,000 nights during the festival. So there is a responsibility.
Local businesses have also been hit hard by the absence of this year's festival, like this historical hotel in the heart of town, whose gardens host statues of some of the festival's most prominent artists. Some of its most prestigious suites are even named after the stars who, for years, have stayed at the hotel during the festival.
The Jazz Festival obviously is for us a 2-week period, which is extremely busy. The jazz generates for us, in general, about 12% of our yearly revenue.
Which is how much?
It's about 5 million.
How are you compensating for these huge losses?
I think it will be very difficult to compensate for these losses. It's not only the Jazz Festival. As you know, there's so many things happening in Montreux. We have the Septembre Musical. We have events all year round. We have 14 big conference rooms here in the hotels, and we do a lot of conferences, incentives, meetings, which basically have been cancelled since March all the way till the end of the year.
But it's not all bad news. The town is expected to come alive from the middle of July with smaller events that have been organised by cultural and touristic institutions to help overcome the crisis. A special lineup also awaits fans at this summer's virtual festival. From July the 3rd to the 18th, Montreux Jazz Festival will be bringing archived performances to YouTube in an exclusive live stream series.
So we're going to build a lot of terraces on the lake that people can just enjoy the lake. And of course, the different events will organize a stage where on one side of the city you can see the archives of the festival again, and the other side there will be a live concert. Promoted also the young musicians, the Swiss musicians that were really in a very difficult situation during this crisis. So we want to give the opportunity to the young musician and to the Swiss musician to play this summer.
The pandemic has changed the course of the festival, but also the future of the music industry worldwide.
The music business is a very specific business worldwide. We were all thinking that how this business will go in the future. And this crisis were just a huge break of this music business. At the start of the crisis, the first thing that were cancelled were the festival, the concerts. And the last things that will come will be the festival and the concerts. We have to take that into consideration and also change maybe the business model. But this is a worldwide perspective. It's not only Montreux in Switzerland or Switzerland itself.
Montreux Jazz Festival is now working on bringing as many of this year's artists back to next year's event.
And remember, you can find all of our content online at cnnmoney.ch, and you can always stay in touch with us via our social media platforms. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do take care, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.